Hello, welcome back. If you're new here, my name is Becca and today I have the Road So Far tag. I was tagged to do this by the lovely and beautiful Rachel at Rachel Marie. I will link her video in the description box down below. And this tag was also created by a booktube newbie called Josh from Beards and Books, so I will of course link his original video down below. This is a book tag that pretty much draws on your journey of booktube and reading so far. I think there are 8 questions, so let's just get straight into them. The first question is, if you could pick one fictional world to live in, which world would you pick and why? Now, a lot of people are always like, oh well, I want to live in this fantasy world but it's brutal, but you have to remember that the reason that we love these worlds is because they are brutal. And so I'm gonna pick one without caring that it's brutal, and I'm going to say Weep from Strange the Dreamer. Even though things aren't great now, I really love the culture of it. I really love the sort of Moroccan Indian themes. It seems like a really beautiful city. The food seems amazing, and you know, if it wasn't for all the stuff going on there, it'd be a really great place to live. But you know, even with them there, if they'd kept the equilibrium, things would have been alright. So I choose Weep. The second question is, what book or series surprised you the most? There's been quite a few, but I'm going to go with Nevernight by J. Kristoff, and that is because I had no idea what to expect. It was a lot more brutal and a lot darker than I expected, and I really ended up loving it. This has my favourite first line of any book ever. A badass female lead, a whole lot of swearing and gore, and it's just generally an all-around good time. 3. You can pick one author to meet. Who would you choose and why? I think we all know it's got to be Sarah J. Maas, and that is because she is my favourite author. No matter what you say about Sarah, I love her. I love her world, her characters, I love her writing. Yes, it does get a little bit repetitive in places, but it's more about what she writes about than her actual writing. So if she repeats a phrase like a couple of dozen times, I'm not too concerned. And to be honest, I don't think I would have noticed if it wasn't for everybody else picking up on it. But I kind of just want to know, like, when she wrote Throne of Glass, did she plan out everything that was going to happen before she started writing? Or did she write a couple of books and then think, oh, I left that thread unattached, so I'm going to weave it in now? Like, I want to know those questions, and I also want to know what she's writing next. Like, I know that it's Crescent City, but what is Crescent City? Who knows? Sarah does. I could ask her. Question number 4 is, if you could only read one genre of book for the rest of your life, what genre would you choose and why? I have to say fantasy, obviously, because I read mainly fantasy, and then I could read all the subgenres of fantasy as well. I've read the most fantasy. There are lots of places you can go with fantasy because it's not rooted in reality, because it's fantasy. And yeah, that was a pretty straightforward one. Number 5 is, what genre do you rarely read but wish you read more? For this, I'm going to say science fiction. I recently did a list of sci-fi recommendations, and I realised that aside from 1 or 2 books, that was most of the sci-fi I've ever read in my life. But all of those books were really, really good. So I want to read more sci-fi. I have a lot of hyped sci-fi still on my shelves. I have Illuminae. I have A Long Way to a Small Angry Planet. I have Sleeping Giants. Just really want to like dedicate some time to it because there's a lot of different ways you can go with sci-fi, and I've enjoyed books from lots of different sci-fi subgenres, so I think it's a genre I would really like to explore more of. Question number 6 is, what is the most intimidating book or book series you are too nervous to begin? And this one for me is an unoriginal answer, and that is Game of Thrones by George R.R. Martin. I have 7 books on my shelf in the Pretty Landscape editions. They're all super thick, but I'm not really scared of thick books. Like, this is 700-ish pages, 750. I could probably read this in under 2 weeks, but I'm intimidated by it because I said I wanted to have read all of the books before I watched the last season. We've just got a date for the last season, which is the 14th or 19th of April, something like that. I know I'm not going to read all of these before then, and I could if I started now, but I'm probably not gonna. And that's why I'm nervous. Question number 7 is, if you had to recommend a book or series above all others, what would it be? And for this, I'm not choosing my absolute favourite book to recommend to people, but I'm choosing a book that actually needs to be recommended because it's so underhyped. And that is The Beast Player by Nohoko. Yeah, I still have not looked up how to say this author's name because I am a shitty booktuber. But essentially, this is one girl's life story as she has to flee from her home because her mother is being sentenced to death because some warrior snakes have died and they were in her car. And it is the story of her growing up, becoming enraptured with animals as her mother was, learning that she has some special skills that nobody else does, and going on this like epic adventure with this beautiful flying wolfy royal beast that's just adorable. This is beautiful, emotional, adorable. It's just It's a Japanese translated YA fantasy with animals. What more can I say? What more do you need? What about that doesn't sound amazing? And the last question is, what are your booktube and reading plans for the rest of the year? This is a difficult one. We have 4 months left. My most anticipated releases of the year are all released in October, so I would say to read those, which is Muse of Nightmares, Saga Volume 9 and Kingdom of Ash. Booktube wise, I mean, my subscriber goal at the beginning of the year was 1,000. I'm now on like 1,700, so I guess I'd like to get to 2,000 before the end of the year. But as for plans, I want to work more on my reading vlogs. That has been something that has been going on throughout the entirety of the year. I've been constantly trying out vlogs, making them better. Booktubeathon and the vlogging I did there was hugely successful for me. I really enjoyed it, and I think that the vlogs I created were good quality. However, now I'm struggling with weekly vlogs, which I find a lot harder to get them not too long, not too short, but not just me talking and being boring. Like, it's a careful balance of filler and talking and knowing when to update, because you don't want to update all the time, but like you don't want to update once every like 3 days. I will also be taking part in a few more readathons. I'm sure there's going to be some Halloween readathons I'll take part in, and I'm doing contemporary-a-thon in September. I'm putting out a lot of book diaries at the moment, but aside from that, I think I'm pretty much just wrapping up the goals I had for this year and looking forward to planning everything I need to be putting out in January for my new goals of the year, new challenges for next year. And yeah, that pretty much answers that question. So that is everything for the row so far book tag. I'm going to tag my bestest best friend who's just created a booktube, Reading with Ryan. I will also tag Willow from the Reading Corner, Dora from Confessing My Reads, and I think that's about it for this one. But that is everything for this tag. Please don't forget to like this video if you liked it and subscribe if you want to. If you head into my description box, you'll find a link to my Goodreads, Instagram and Twitter if you'd like to follow me on any of those, as well as a link to my Bookish body butter and candle website, the Instagram for that, and a 10% off discount code. But that's it from me today. Bye!
Oh, you bite your friend like chocolate. You say you're go and nobody knows, with guns hidden under our petticoats. We're never gonna quit it, no, we're never gonna quit it, no.